Okay, let's start it. The components of the aggregate demand. Yeah, remember aggregate demand means the demand for the goods and the services from the whole societies. So in that case, we can imagine aggregate demand AD actually can be represented by aggregate expenditure, means the spending on the goods and the services from the different sectors of the economy. For the economy, we normally assume there are four sectors. The first sector is what we call the household sectors. The second sector is what we call the business sector. So the 1 and 2 together, people normally say represent the private sectors. Sector 3 is the public sector, is the government. So I just use the GOV to represent the government. And plus, in today's world, every country has interaction with other countries. So that's the foreign sectors. So those are the four factors almost every economy has. So the spending on these four sectors or expenditure from these four sectors represent the aggregate demand. What is the spending from the household? What's the terminology we use to describe the spending from household? It's a consumption. What is the expenditure from the business sector? When a business spend money buying new machines, building a new factory, that's what we call capital investment. So I here means the expenditure from the business sector. Government also spend money, and you can imagine central government, federal government, state government, local government, they all spend money on the different activities, such as national defense, public educations. So we use the G as a letter to represent the government spending. Plus, the people in the foreign countries will also spend money on the goods and the service produced domestically. That's what we call the export of the one country. But we also need to subtract the goods and the service domestic people purchase from the outside. So that's what we call the net export. Is export subtract import. Okay, so now we know the expenditure from each sector in the society. If we want to know what would be the aggregate expenditure, we simply add these four spending together. So that's what we see the equation on the PowerPoint slides. So next time, if you want to determine whether the aggregate demand increase or decrease, we can try to see how these four components may change. So let's give the one example here. Suppose the stock market price increase a lot. So how can this affect the aggregate demand of the whole society? So first you need to think about how this event may affect one or more than one components of the aggregate expenditure. When the stock market, the price increases because many people invest their money into the stock market, so the wealth of the people will increase. So wealth go up. So you can see here the impact of the increase in the stock price is on the household sectors, because the people and the household now become more wealthy. They are going to spend more money, so the consumption increase. If other things remain the same, other factors remaining the same, and we can see the aggregate expenditure also increase. So because the total expenditure on the goods and the service goes up, it means the total demand or aggregate demand goes up as well. So that's how we can analyze the impact of the event on the aggregate demand. Let's give one more example. If the interest rate increase, how could this affect aggregate demand? Does aggregate demand increase or decrease? Again, we need to see how this may affect the one or more than one factors of the aggregate demand. Interest rate increase, as we learned previously, it means the cost of the borrowing go up. If the cost of the borrowing go up, interest rate go up, the household will buy less houses and cars, because the household relied on the bank's loan to buy those big stuff. If the interest rate go up, the cost of getting the loan increase, the household will buy less goods and services, especially the houses and the cars. So consumption here goes down. And similarly for investment and the business, because the cost of the borrowing increased, the business will borrow less money from the firm. As a result, they make less investment. So I also decrease. And with this analysis, you can imagine other things remaining the same. The aggregate expenditure is going down, so which means the aggregate demand of the whole society goes down. So this slide I show you here basically tell you, when we analyze what happened to the aggregate demand, you need to record what will happen to the four components: C, I, G, and X: consumption, investment, government spending, and net export. Then you can find out the answer.